used to say things to me in the relationship where he'd be like, you're kind of mean. Like, you're kind of this. And I was like, I'm not mean. Like, and everyone would always be like, no, that's Brandy. It's Brandy. It's like, I'm not mean. But there was a lot of things he asked for and required from me in a relationship that I didn't do for him.
The only thing that all women want in a man is a man that she can't manipulate. The more she can't manipulate him, the more attractive he is to her. So we had Corey E on a couple weeks ago, and she was on here, and we were discussing the concept of like, she was in a relationship with a dude who she kind of walked all over, and she sort of.
That's so unattractive.
Yes, but that's the thing.
That's another thing.
Are you hearing this? She's just saying that's unattractive, but like that's what you're.
That's why.
But you keep setting men up for this every time, though.
But I'm not, because or maybe that was my problem.
Yes, that's my point. It's
I don't know, but
no man in the situation that you put them in has the ability to lead. Do you understand that? I'm getting to my point here. I personally, this is my opinion, believe that relationships work better when a woman is slightly more into the dude than the other way around, because that allows the man to lead. Because a woman inherently has the ability to flip a switch on her phone and have way more attention from men than most men have from women. So because of that, she has this leverage point of getting massive amounts of attention from other men.
Yeah, it's not just on the phone, man. When they step outside into the real world, guys are always approaching them. If they see a better option, they very well might just go ahead and monkey branch on over. That's the thing with hypergamy. People want to cope. They want to act like this shit isn't real. It's not real until it happens to you, right? It's like that saying, she's not yours, it's just your turn. Well, that's not true until it is, right? And a lot of men, they realize this shit. They realize this is true. Women are constantly being approached. Guys are always shooting their shot on them. Now more than ever, now more than ever, mating, male and female mating is brutal. And the problem is humans are self-conscious, but we still mate in a primal way. So it's like you go out into nature, you go out to the wilderness, you go out into the wild. These animals, their mating is very primal, but they aren't sentient. They aren't self-conscious to have to acknowledge the unflattering truths about it. Whereas with human beings, we're very self-conscious, but specifically, not just women, men included, but women are very primal in the way that they mate select. They are the ones who are very picky and choosy. 2024 mating, dating is brutal.
So in order to balance that out, she has to be just slightly more into the dude than the dude is into her, like 55-45. But that's never going to happen with you. And the dude can't lead because of the situations that you're putting them in. Do you understand?
Yeah. I mean, I understand that. I think I'm learning a lot I've learned a lot actually over the last 2 months alone. But specifically, I remember when my ex and I broke up, he used to say things to me in the relationship where he'd be like, you're kind of mean. Like, you're kind of this. And I was like, I'm not mean. Like, and everyone would always be like, no, that's Brandy. It's Brandy. It's like, I'm not mean. But there was a lot of things he asked for and required from me in a relationship that I didn't do for him. And I was like, well, that's just not me. Like, I'm just not like that girl. Like, little things. Like, well, you don't hug me very much. You don't hold my hand. You don't do this. You don't do that. I'm like, why the fuck do I need to hold your hand? Like, we're right here. Like, what? You know what I mean? And that's just how I was. And then I didn't think I was being mean. I genuinely did not. And I argued that with him. I said, that's just how I am, and I truly thought that. And then when I went to Italy and I caught myself doing certain things with this guy that my ex had asked me for, and I was doing it without him even having to ask. And I was like, oh my God, I was kind of a bit, like I was kind of mean and I didn't even mean to be. And then I was kind of like, I kind of had a moment where I was sitting there and I was like, why am I being like this with him? And I wasn't like this with him. And again, like, I think it's just the qualities that he.
Holy shit, man. I mean, that is blackpilling. This shit really is blackpilling. Make rules for betas, break rules for alphas. The beta and alpha terms, they get played out a lot, but fuck. Honestly, man, when in doubt, be a jerk. When in doubt, be a jerk. Fuck it. If you think you're being too nice, you probably are. Being too nice will definitely not do you well in the realm of dating and mating with females. However, the same cannot necessarily be said for being a jerk. If you had to pick and choose which one to go to the extreme on, it certainly isn't being too nice and accommodating and sweet and Disney game fairy tale bullshit. It's going to do you better if you're a bit of a standoff, distant prick.
He had versus the qualities my ex had. Like, in my head, I go, I didn't respect him.
Okay, so
like,
let me translate this more to like where a guy would understand what was going on here. What's happened is generally a woman, like Sadia Khan, she has the best way of saying this. She says that the only thing that all women want in a man is a man that she can't manipulate. The more she can't manipulate him, the more attractive he is to her. In this situation, like for instance, if he can maintain boundaries, that's more attractive to a woman, even though she may ask him verbally to violate those boundaries. If he can stand up to her and not violate those boundaries, that's attractive to women. So it's one of these.
That makes sense
it's
because
it's a catch-22 situation. If I do what you ask me to do, you're going to punish me. So for instance, if you start shit with me, and I'm not saying you would, but like you start shit with me, you start shit testing me or whatever. If I don't react, you need me to react to show you that I care about you, which is beneficial to the relationship. But if I do react, you have less respect for me because I reacted. And so then that's the problem. And it's the same type of situation here. You put these guys in a situation where they can't have boundaries because you make so much more money than them and you're literally paying for their lives. And so because they can't have boundaries, they can't lead. And this one bad boy trait that women find attractive, they can't have that. This is just my hypothesis. They can't have that trait. This new guy that you meet in Italy, he kind of still has a take it or leave it attitude. You can see that probably other women find him attractive too. You understand that his life would probably still be okay if you weren't in it. And because of that, you might find him more attractive and might be willing to do more of those things that generate genuine desire.
I respect him more. Like I said, like it came to a point where I was realized how much respect I had for him. And then the lack of respect, like I said, with my exes, I was like, I think and not like consciously, I just think subconsciously I had no respect for them. And I don't know.
Man.
I could never be soft with them because I was always.
Because you were the man in the relationship. That's why.
By the way, we're not.
I don't know what she does, but I would imagine it's probably got something to do with her body. That's how she makes her money, or at least that's probably how she did in the beginning. Again, I don't care enough about the woman to do my research on her, so honestly, I don't give a shit if I'm right or wrong about how she accrues her income. Yeah, and you know what she's saying here is it's all about respect. That's the thing. That's the thing. I don't give a you don't want to go into these relationships wanting her approval. You don't want to go into relationships wanting her love and affection. You need respect. And honestly, how do you get respect really? Well, let's think about it. Let's really dive into this. In order for someone to respect you, they have to in some ways admire you, your behavior, look up to you, in many ways fear you as well. And honestly, it comes down to who needs who less. Who's more willing to leave this? Who's more willing to exit this whole thing and not give a shit? I don't know if you've ever heard of the term oneitis, but it's like when a guy becomes obsessed with one specific woman, and that is what prevents them from walking away when they're in a marriage or a relationship or dealing with a woman that they really, really like because they have oneitis, and then she does some shady shit, posts some pictures of her booty on social media. She goes around talking with other dudes, giving out their number, being all flirty, friendship with these dudes. The reason why a lot of men can't walk away is because they have a bad case of oneitis. And you've probably heard it before, but it is, I don't want you to underestimate this. The number one thing you have as a man dealing with these women is your ability to walk away. And what sucks is a lot of men don't have that ability because they have a bad case of oneitis. Men are by far more romantic than women. They love women unconditionally. Women do not love men unconditionally. Point, period, fucking blank. They don't. And so because men are unconditional lovers and because men are more romantic, they are more likely to fall hard for that person, truthfully. With women, you need all these conditions and shit for them to feel anything for you. And then, something falls out. Maybe you lose your job and all of a sudden those conditions aren't met. Well, hypergamy, blah, blah, blah. We all know the story. Now she's going to leave your ass, cheat on you, whatever. Men are by far the true lovers. And anything else contrary is just gynocentric, feminine order, imperative nonsense that is perpetrated to turn the head and make everybody not acknowledge the unflattering truths about what female nature really is. And so two things with men. If you cannot defeat oneitis and you cannot create respect, you are fucked.
I was like, I think and not like consciously, I just think subconsciously I had no respect for them. And I don't know. I could never be soft with them because I was always.
Because you were the man in the relationship. That's why.
By the way, we're not saying this is wrong.
Yeah. Would you say this is the situation you're in? Well, by the way, it's not a fucking intervention. But I'm just telling you, like that's kind of why this is, because I don't want this
No,
to happen.
I don't take offense to it. I
Yeah,
mean, I've watched
I don't
myself.
think you should change. I think you should keep going on the direction you're going. For the record, that's my for sure stance.
Just a billionaire
which
with like
way?
4 slave men. I think
like where you're going, bro. Like you're making so much money, but this has nothing to do with money, right? Money was a byproduct of the character traits you have as a person, right? You're hardworking, you're focused, you're smart, you're a go-getter, you're independent, all these things. I don't think you should stop doing any of those things. I just don't think you've meshed or looked for the right characteristics in a man. Like the men you were dating are like the girls I was dating. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not always wife material, not or husband material. That's all. I think that's all he's saying. I think I stand on the record for sure. I don't think you should switch out no matter what.
Yeah, but you also understand that for a relationship to be successful for you, you have to be able to lead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, man. I could see myself in a position where the girl is so rich and such just that I
Yeah,
couldn't do
but
it.
so if you read the literature on this, one of the leading causes of divorce is when a man loses their job and the woman makes more money than the man. It's a leading cause of divorce. Like
I've come to terms with the fact that any man I meet or date, I'm going to be making more money than them for however long I'm doing this.
that's why she won't
I
date me, by
I
the
can
way.
introduce you to a few. Like, go to dinner with Dan Fleischman. Everybody there probably makes more money than you. Seriously.
But they're like, those men are like older or married and like all that stuff. Like,
Every one of those dudes is younger than me, and I'm 46.
How old are you?
Every one
We
of
all
them.
play cards together
Yeah.
on Tuesdays in Encino.
Every single one of them is younger than me.
Okay, well, guys that I would get with
You wouldn't get with those dudes?
are, like I said, I've.
So you
I've
need
come to-
you need tattoos and like.
Also, I don't think there's
I
any-
don't need that.
She needs DECA and
But
tattoos.
I also don't think there's anything wrong with the trajectory of the relationships you've had. I don't think that's inherently wrong. You've had a few boyfriends. Some lasted a long time. Some didn't. They broke up. That is absolutely normal. Everybody has relationships. Some that last, some that don't. They all break up, and then
You
you
seem
finally
to be
get back.
very against them at the time.
You know what I've noticed? The deeper and deeper and deeper I get into this whole thing, the more I realize how basic and useless and wrong the average person's opinion on dating is. And this whole dynamic between men and women and the intricacies that follow. The more I do this, the more I get into it, the deeper I go, the more I realize how wrong the average person is about men and women and their dynamics together.
Yeah, I think that, well, the people that you're dating, I'm not super fond of usually. Not that it, not that it matters, not that it stops you, but I mean, to some degree. But like, I also don't think that it's like a bad thing. Like, who cares? Same with me, same with Michael. Like, we've had relationships, we've broken up, we move on.
The only thing that
Who cares? Who cares? Isn't that like the default people seem to go to nowadays? Just who cares? I've noticed that. Why do you care? Who cares? Interesting. But yeah, like I was saying, the more I get into this, the more I realize so many people are useless. The advice out there is dog shit. Nobody really has any reason for the things they think. It's just shit they've been told. Anyways, if you enjoyed that video, leave a like and subscribe.